All right, hey everyone, my name is Kendra and I'm so excited that you're here. I will never forget my first days as a Section 504 case manager. I was so confused, I was so overwhelmed. It's not covered in grad school for school counseling whatsoever. So I was lost and I spent so much time reinventing wheels, researching, trying to figure out what the heck to do that I missed out on so many opportunities to support my students and to build relationships, and they really needed me. This still haunts me today, which is why I created the 504 Masterclass so that I can help case managers and their students. But today, I wanted to leak just a little bit of the course. I'm going to share some organizational tools. They're very simple, but they're the simple type of thing that can just help you to stay organized, because sometimes those referrals bust down the doors and it can be hard to keep track of where you're at in each student's case. And sometimes the cases can blur together a little bit when the needs are really similar. So let's talk about those two tools right now. So the first one's just a simple checklist, so that you can make sure that you are remembering to complete each form that you need for each student. All right, so this type of form to stay organized is important for a lot of reasons. You don't want to end up, completing an evaluation and realizing that you forgot to sign consent, or having to ask a parent to sign, the referral document after you've already begun. So this helps to make sure that you have all the documents that you need in order. So it's going to show you which major tasks that you need to complete, and kind of in what order. And then little things like that you're going to need to make sure that your paperwork is ready for your meeting, and that you want to provide that copy of your 504 safeguards. And did you send the copy to your parents along with the document? Those types of things that just sometimes get lost in the shuffle when things are really busy or meetings move really quickly. Additionally, so all of the items in italics are going to be the forms that you're going to need to submit at the end. So that's really helpful too, because sometimes you might get to it and you think, oh my gosh, I never even sent that parent invitation. I've totally done that in my early days. It was really embarrassing to then have to kind of backtrack, because maybe you spoke about the meeting like in person or a phone call. Like I've had a lot of like PTA parents who just pop in and then we schedule it, and then I realize that I never had them sign. So it's really important that you have these documents, because it's really embarrassing when you have to try to ask someone to sign it like after it's already happened. It's just not a good look, and I've been there, which is why this is something I'm really passionate about. So this is a really simple checklist, just so that you know that you're on top of it. You can add dates that something's due for you, because you want to make sure that you're within your timeline, right? Your 60 days for your evaluation if you're in most states. Then there's also the option for the annual reviews, because obviously that's going to look a little bit different, and you'll want to make sure that you have all the documents that you need for that as well. One important thing on here too that I kind of kept forgetting was updating my master list document and my monthly monitoring documents. So sometimes we would hold the meeting, everything would be great, I'd have all my documents, and then a few weeks would go by and I would realize I never sent the teachers an updated monthly monitoring document, and I hadn't updated the accommodations, which again is not a good look. And sometimes I would find that the master list, I had forgotten to maybe add a testing accommodation or something else, and sometimes that affects administrators and what they need for different things. So it's just really important for me, for how my brain works, that I was able to check it off a list, because that also feels good when we're actually able to complete everything. I also wanted to share with you a tool so that you can organize all of your students that are on your caseload in a really simple format. I actually tried it a different way in like a Word doc my first year, and it really didn't go as well, and I loved this format in sheets. One of the reasons I loved it so much is because, if we look down here a little bit, you can do the tabs on the bottom, so that when a student like leveled up, I would just copy the tabs and I'd be able to have them in a new grade level. It was so convenient. When they went to a different school, I could just send that new counselor the whole sheet, and she really appreciated that. So this worked really well for me. I love that you can link in it as well super easily. So my links for our monthly monitoring document would go right in the sheet, and that way I'd be feeling super organized. If there was ever like a teacher, administrator, anyone who had a question, I knew that I would have everything I kind of needed in this dashboard. So this worked out really well for me, and then it helped me just for my dates, like I could sort it by date and know when someone's evaluation or review was coming up. And this worked a lot better than the first format that I tried. So I hope that this helps you too. To stay organized, because sometimes there's just so many students, and it helps to kind of look at them at a glance to know who you need to prioritize when you're scheduling your review meetings, and if you're working on evaluations. I would also color code them, so I would change it if someone was an initial evaluation, they'd be one color, and then I would change the color if they were already reviewed for that year, so that I could kind of have a visual of who was already evaluated or reviewed, or who needed to be evaluated or reviewed. So it was just kind of helpful for my brain feeling like things were not as chaotic as they sometimes were. Right, so those are just two super simple tools that will save you a little bit of time if you're either, maybe you're new to the role, or maybe you're a grad student, kind of trying to make sure that you are prepared so you can hit the ground running, or maybe you've been doing it a while, but you could use a couple of tools to just help it to flow a little bit more smoothly. So if you're thinking that you might like a little bit more, though, I do want to tell you about the 504 Masterclass and what else you can expect within that course. So there are 8 lessons that are in a video and text formats. We're going to cover the overview of the law, so you can really feel confident in talking about it with parents. That was something I really struggled with at first, because I didn't really understand it. So feeling that confidence and being able to talk about the law is so important. Then we're also going to cover the procedure and the timelines, so that you're never out of compliance, and what the flow kind of looks like. And then the form details, so like what to put in each box, what you might word something here and there and everywhere. And then we're going to cover the evaluation process. So we're going to talk about a lot of different ways that you can collect data to make sure that your evaluations are solid and defensible. And then we're going to talk about the accommodation plan creation, how you can come up with different accommodations and what would be appropriate and when, as well as those testing accommodations. And we're going to talk a little bit about plan monitoring, making sure that we are, making sure that the accommodations are still needed by the student, and how to keep track of whether or not they are being provided. You do not want to find yourself in a situation where accommodations are not being provided. And then we're also going to talk about the meeting flows, and I'll share some tips on what I learned the hard way about how to make sure that meetings are successful. There's going to be a ton of different templates and a lot of examples for all of the required 504 documents. That was something that really helped me in the beginning, was to read a lot of really solid plans so that I could have an idea of how to emulate those. There's going to be a bunch of forms for the data collection and the evaluation process. Some more organizational tools. This isn't it. This is just some of them. You'll also earn a certificate for 8 CEUs when you complete the course, but just, of course, make sure that you get that pre-approved by your district, because everyone's kind of different on what they will and will not accept. And know that all of the content is reviewed by Attorney Phyllis Brown, who's an expert in special education and Section 504 law. So everything has been reviewed by her to make sure that I'm sharing accurate information with you. I'm glad that you joined today. I hope that this helps you out a little bit. And if you are ready for more, you're feeling like you could use a little bit more support, you'd like to be more confident, you'd like to streamline your process, I did want to share a 50% off code for you. So you can use the code READY at checkout to receive 50% off of the 504 Masterclass. Thanks.